Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing a special interview. Today I have with us, he's an indie horror author, and he has several projects out right now. One of which just came out on March 5th, and it's called Armageddon: Fall of the Vampires. And also, he's also working on a horror story with his 4-year-old son, and that's called Death Digger. I have with us today Keisto Healy. Keisto, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hi, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on, man. Pleasure having you on. So tell us a little bit about Armageddon: The Fall of the Vampires.
Oh man, this book means so much to me. It was like my first real fiction book, and it's gone through so many lives, but I finally got it to where I want it to be, and got an awesome cover for it from Ruth Anna Evans. And actually, I from the original manuscript, I actually cut out a novel's worth of stuff. Over 70,000 words were cut out of the book. That's how long the original version was. But I feel like right now where it's at is spot on. Hopefully readers will feel the same. So far, the people who have read it have had great reactions. It's about a future where vampires have taken over, and they now new vampires are made by being born, so the children don't ever realize that before them vampires came from humans, and they think humans are just animals, that they're big game, they're like bears. And the problem is that they turn too many in their takeover, and the remaining humans are hiding. So they're running out of food, and everybody's starving. Businesses are closing, and the bakeries and grocery stores are shutting down. And the government goes live on TV and says that it's okay for vampires to feed on other vampires, that you actually can sustain yourself off of vampire blood. So all these starving people just lose their minds, and they all see everybody around them as food. And the protagonists there's a 16-year-old boy and his 6-year-old sister. They're both vampires, who their parents were killed in a big game hunting expedition. And now the whole world suddenly wants to eat them, and their neighbors, their teachers, their own family, their the mailman, police officers, everyone just sees them as food. So they have no idea who to go to for help or how to survive. And Vincent, the 16-year-old, his prime concern is just getting his sister out of that city and trying to find a place where she can be safe. So it's really just an onslaught. Once it starts, it doesn't really let up.
And that's an interesting concept as well that I don't think I've ever heard of when it comes to vampires. But if you actually think about it, if vampires were real, at some point, they would take over, and they would be, the majority in the world. And then what do you do then when it comes to have something to eat? I mean, that's a great concept. What made you give you inspiration to come up with that?
I'm not really sure. I've always loved like the big tropes, but my goal is always to do it in a way that is still refreshing and different. And then I was thinking, like, what if the protagonist is a vampire, but he's a vampire that doesn't really know anything about vampires? And then what if it's because the vampires are actually living like us and they're the people and we're the animals? And then how would they get there? And it just sort of like, came together. And
How long? Now, how long did it take you to get the story down on paper?
Well, I mean, this story is it's old, and it was like it was put together and fine tuned, and then I wrote the entire book, and at the time it was 600 pages, and then I had a compact computer, and it crashed, and I couldn't get it, and I brought it everywhere, and nobody could retrieve my stuff, and I mean, and this was back in like, gosh, I don't know, like 2008 or something like that. Excuse me. And I was devastated. I was like, I can't. Someone's got to. My book is on there. I didn't back anything up, back then, and they were like, there's nothing we could do. The hard drive's gone. So I got a new computer, and I still couldn't bring myself to do anything with that book, and I moved on to other projects. I cried a lot.
And I can imagine.
And then I said, I was like, you know what? I really believe in this story, though, this idea, and these kids, the kids in the story. I was like, they're like my kids now, like I have to give them life. So I started over. And I wrote the entire novel again from page one. I have no idea if it was as good as the original or not, but and then I had no idea about publishing at that point. And I was sending it out to like printing it out and sending it out to like publishers via snail mail. And then I started like emailing agents, and some agents read it and they were like, I love this book. I read it in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. And I was like, yes, this is it. And then, a paragraph down, they were like, but I don't think I'm the right person to sell it. And I was like, why? Why not? If you loved it. And, it just wasn't. So I was like, and I think it was 2014. I was like, I'm going to try this create space thing as before, the easy Amazon thing we have now, and try to self-publish it and see what happens. And one thing that an agent had said to me was, this whole book is in present tense, and it can't be, if you want it to succeed, it's got to be in past tense. So I tried to go back through. I didn't have an editor or anything, and I tried to go back through and turn a 600-page novel from present tense into past tense, and I missed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can imagine.
yeah, it's a lot of work. So then when I published it, I got like this horror review magazine or whatever to review it, and they spelt my name wrong, and then just kind of bashed it, and I was like, man, this sucks. And then people were like, well, it needs an editor. And I was like, I don't know anything about all this. And my cover was terrible. I just used the create space cover maker thing back then. I think it's actually a picture of somebody flossing, but it was the most vampire looking thing I could find. And then I always wanted to do it right. I was like, this, after everything this book has been through, it needs to be done right. So Ruth Anna made a cover, and I was like, because my original idea before I ever wrote it was to make it as a graphic novel. I was into comic books growing up, and I had a job at one point writing and drawing my own comic book, and deadlines were harsh and I couldn't keep up with it, but I still have that love and I wanted to do that, but I didn't get it done. So when I wrote it as a book, I always thought it'd be cool to have like a graphic novel style cover for the book to like still get that feel and that vibe to it. And she nailed it. Like I feel like the cover really has that.
Ruth Ann is amazing.
Yeah,
I've
she's
interviewed
awesome.
her. She's awesome.
She is really cool. And so then I went through and I completely reworked the book and I got rid of all the passive language. I made sure everything was in the same tense. I, changed one of the major characters and I like cut out a lot of fluff and filler and stuff where like when I was younger I was like trying too hard to be like deep and philosophical and like just wanted to keep the pacing and the flow of the story going. And so like right now I feel like the book that I've released is the book that I always wanted to release. Like so for me this book means everything, it's like this is my dream book since I first started doing this. So
See, that's pretty fucking awesome because, I mean, with all of the roadblocks that was putting you away with this book, I mean, most people would quit. I mean, especially the hard drive crashing, and and then getting out there and it gets torn apart.
Yeah,
that's when most individuals would have quit. But like, it is pretty amazing that you were able to see something in this book, and now it's back out and it's better than ever.
Yeah, I really feel like it is, and I feel like when people read it, they will feel the same. I hope they will. Originally, my goal was for it to be at least a duology, if not a trilogy. And the second book would be Armageddon, The Rise of the Humans. It's the fall of the vampires and then the rise of the humans. But I haven't written word one, on it. And this book has gone through, 10, 14 something years of of work. So hopefully if this book can pick up and people enjoy it, I can finally like sit down and pen out the next one. I was really super happy because the first person that read this version of Armageddon Fall of the Vampires, as soon as she was done, she was like, I'm ready for the next one. So I was like, yes, that's what I've wanted all along.
Yes.
It really does feel like I've had a child, like that has gone through all these growing pains and trials and tribulations. And
yeah, because I mean, what did it feel like, on March 5th when the book was finally released? I mean, this thing that's been sitting around for forever, all the different.
Man, it was very exciting. I wished I had gotten more pre-orders on it, but still the fact that it's there and it's what I wanted it to be that's a beautiful thing, man.
I bet, man. I bet. Now, you also are actually working on something. Now, this is something I'm curious about. So, you and your 4-year-old son are working on a book that's called Death Digger.
Oh, it's already out.
It's already out. So, please tell us a little bit, first of all, about Death Digger, and how did your 4-year-old son help you write this book?
Well, no. First of all, it's his. Like it's okay. It's like I feel bad even putting my name on it. His mind is amazing, dude. It just blows me away. And he actually got his copy in the mail yesterday and was so excited. I put pictures on Facebook of him like going through that like special moment of holding your book in your hands for the first time. And And when his mom came home today, he was like, "I got the Death Digger book," and she was like, "Oh yeah, I heard that." And he was like, "Let's go get it." He was so excited. What happened is he just said to me, he was like, "I have this idea, and let's play it." He was like, "I want to play it so you understand it." And I was like, "Okay." So he took me outside, and he said that his grandmother's tiny house is in our backyard. He said that was the Death Digger's house, and her garden was the graveyard. And then he was like, "Now we have to be the parents, and we have a baby, and the baby's name is Tigger, and the Death Digger puts children in the graves, and he tears them apart, and they're in pieces, and he eats their essence, their energy, but then if the parents can dig them up before it's a whole day, then their energy will come back like blue yarn, like light, and it'll put the babies back together." And like he just came out with this whole thing. And then he said to me, "Well, now can you write it so it's good for grown-ups?" And I was like, yeah, I can. And then he said, "Make sure to put bad words because grown-ups use bad words." So I said, okay. So I put plenty of bad words in there.
Okay. Now, how does a 4-year-old come up with that idea? Because I'm thinking about myself at 4 years old, and I'm pretty sure I was eating glue. So how does a 4-year-old come up with an idea like that so descriptive?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe because he's my son. I don't know.
Is he into horror? Does he watch horror?
Yeah. Well, he's really into it, and he loves Halloween, and he knows who all the horror movie villains are. He can look at any one of them and tell you exactly who they are and what they're from. But he hasn't watched the full movies because his mom doesn't want him to have that level of violence in his life yet. So, but he watches clips, and he watches. There's like YouTube stuff and TikTok stuff, and there's a channel, a YouTuber named Lissy Noel, and she always does like horror stuff, and she'll like actually get boxes that she says are cursed dolls or possessed dolls or stuff like that, and she shows like people's clips of their short indie films and stuff that they make that are horror films, and he loves it. He was like just eating that stuff up. But yeah, he's just always had kind of a love for it, which I'm assuming he got from me. I don't know. It could come natural.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
His imagination, though, like one of the people who read Death Digger said to him, it was like yesterday, or the day before, they were like, "Now you need to write Death Digger 2, and make it, like 5 years later, and this happens." And then he just goes, "Oh yeah, in Death Digger 2, the witches blah 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 blah," and just like tells the whole plot line of the second book. And his mom was like, turned around to me, and she's like, "Dad, you getting this?" And I was like, "I'm trying to. I'm putting it in my phone."
Wow, I thought I was a smart kid at 4 years old. Because I mean that's an interesting. Listen, it sounds like an interesting story.
It really is.
It's to know that a 4-year-old came up with the idea is incredible. I mean, there's 40-year-old authors that can't come up with ideas.
No,
as good as that.
He came up with another one the other day, which I can't wait till I get a chance to like sit down and help him write, because it's like it's so good. The stuff he comes up with, I'm like, I wish I came up with. You know, like I don't know. The next one is going to be called. Of course, he does have the plot for Death Digger 2, and he also has one he wants me to write called The Cursed Baby. But the one I really want to get to is called The Killer of Death. And it's about a serial killer whose soul can shapeshift into other people's souls. And he uses that to try to lure death because he wants to kill death himself.
Wait, and your son came up with this idea?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So nobody steal that. It's happening. It's already like copywritten. I put the first page, title page, and his name is written. It's in the universe. Don't nobody take that.
Okay, all right. Are you a little worried though that like, wow, my 4-year-old son is coming up with these dark stories and these dark images in his head and so young?
You know, I would be, and people have said stuff like that before, but I see him in life, and he's just the sweetest kid. He always wants to share. He wants to help with chores. He's always super polite. He thanks everybody for everything. He randomly tells people he loves them, and he wants to give hugs. And I think, and I even said to him today, he wanted to play a game in the car where we were coming up with new inventions for cool weapons to kill bad guys. And I said to him, I said, you know, this is just for pretend though, right? Like, and he was like, yeah, you never hurt people in real life. So I try to make that really clear. And
okay, so you've met other 4-year-olds, right? Other 4-year-olds, like okay, I had custody of my nephew who's 7 years old. I had when he was 4 years old. He was not thinking of ideas like this, not even clear. He was thinking about G.I. Joes and candy and shit. Like,
I mean, he also loves Paw Patrol and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I bet, but he was not thinking about full-on, detailed, descriptive horror stories.
Yeah, you know, his first book he wrote for his mom for her birthday when he turned 3.
He turned 3. Wow, shit.
And it was it was called The Adventures of Mommy. Book 1. I have to go, but I'll be back soon. And that one, I just let him dictate it, and I typed it verbatim, so it was like completely in his voice. It was, you could really hear it like he was saying it. It was pretty funny, and that one was wild. It was all over the place. It was, you know, basically his mom had to pick his siblings up from their jobs in like Halloween Town, and then all this crazy stuff happens. And there was a grabber that was disguised as an excavator, and it was actually an alien from another planet, and like, there was a pirate ship, and like it's just everything. So you know, he's had a wild imagination since, you know, his existence.
Now, are you worried that your 4-year-old son might become a more successful horror writer than you at some point?
Oh no, I'm worried about it. No, you know, God bless him. If he can do that, then, you know, more power to him. I'll you know, help him get there if I can. You know, that's the whole point, right? Like the student surpasses the teacher. Like that's always been that.
No, I meant at 4 years old. Like at 4 or 5 years old, he becomes a best.
Oh, you know,
best
he
writer.
might just do it, man. Like the reactions to the Death Digger have been amazing. Like it's just it hasn't gotten anything less than 5 stars so far, and like people are just blown away by it. And I think to me, it's not just because of the initial shock. Like, of course, everyone's like, "How the hell did this come out of a 4-year-old?"
Yeah,
But it's actually good. Like that's the thing.
it
Like
sounds like a good story.
like if it was like, oh, this is crazy because a 4-year-old did it, and that was all the appeal, then that would be, it wouldn't go that far. But I feel like I've had people say to me like, this needs to be a movie. Like it's and people have compared it to like Disney Gone Dark or a Brothers Grimm fairy tale, or I mean, it's pretty cool.
Pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, like so I really do think like like his Killer of Death thing. There are more details to that I didn't release yet because I don't want to give too much away. I want to write it for him. But I like his imagination is just next level, and if I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he took off. I mean, I'd be there with him because until he can type himself, I'm going to be part of all these books. So
now do you read so Death Digger? Have you read it to him?
When he got his copy in the mail yesterday, and he was super excited, he had me read it from cover to cover. Though we don't read bad words, and he had me put bad words in it. So he said, "Okay, every time you get to a bad word, you stop, and then I'm gonna go, what the what?" instead. So that was really fun because we're reading like these really scary, terrifying parts, and then he's like, "What the what?" the whole time. And that's the 4-year-old. So
yeah. Now you and your son both are busy fellas.
yeah.
Not only are you working with your son with his project, not only do you have Armageddon out, you're also working with Crystal from Unveiling Nightmares, and you actually have a story in her anthology as well.
I do. I have a story that's out in her body horror anthology. I have a story in the one that's coming out. I think it's March 20th. It's Splatology, the Splatterpunk anthology. Crystal and I are actually writing a book together.
Nice.
Yeah, it's about werewolf carnies. A traveling carnival of werewolves. So
that's interesting.
It's gonna be cool. I have this series I called like Green Rain, and what it is I have a pinned post on Facebook, and my readers comment a location and a villain that they want to see, and then I pull from that sometimes 2 or 3 at a time, and I write the books, and they all take place in the same universe where there's this strange green rain that's making weird things happen. So because of the story I've set up with the first 3 Green Rain books, there were some ideas in there that didn't really work for that. So, but I wanted to still do them. I told, people, anyone who comments on this post, I will write your book. So, one of the ideas was from Rob Carter, and it was to have a carnival of cryptids, and then there was another idea to have it be over something else, that the land they put the carnival on has something evil beneath it, in like catacombs or whatever, and then have cryptids versus some paranormal entity. So Crystal wanted to make a book about characters that we can keep going, and other writers can pick up with the same characters and make a series out of it with different time periods. And I was like, oh man, we could totally use these ideas from my Green Rain thing, and we'll make it about this carnival of werewolves, and then they end up on top of this thing and have to deal with this supernatural threat. And then the next writer can take the werewolf carnival, and they can do it either in like go in the past or with a different storyline, or into the future with the surviving characters, and add new characters to the mix, and we can just keep Lycan's carnival going. So that'll be hopefully a fun project that her publisher can keep going. And then there's also like body horror and splatology 2, and I've already got stories in those. And I just had a story, 2 stories on the podcast and YouTube shows that are connected to 2 of my previously published books, The World Beneath and 2 of a Kind. And then I have a novella I'm writing right now for Books of Horror box set, and it's going to be exclusive to that. And it's going to be cool because my book that's coming out on March 15th, Price Slashers, which is a book I wrote with Erica Summers and Mick Collins, who are both amazing. If anybody has not read them yet, please do. All their stuff is fantastic. And what it is, Price Slashers, we took one concept. A woman comes running out of a Price Slasher's grocery store covered in blood. And then, some specific details, like what the store and the uniforms of the workers look like, and what the woman looks like, and what her name is. And then we each picked like 3 different cities, and we all wrote our own story from that prompt, and came out with 3 completely different stories, and even completely different genres of horror. And so you really get a little bit of everything in that book. And my story that is in that book, I thought was really cool. Stephen Cooper said it was hard-boiled gore, which I thought was really cool, because that's kind of what it is. It's like kind of like a hard-boiled detective story, but with some real gore horror. And then there's a book coming out, We're Here Too, and I wrote with different characters in the same universe, another like hard-boiled, less gory story. And now my story for the Books of Horror box set is going to take my characters from Price Slashers and my characters from We're Here Too, and put them together into one story. So if people like the first 2, then they will love when they come together. And the only way for them to read that would be to get the exclusive box set. So
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like creating a universe. And in this story, I also tie my book Two of a Kind to the same universe. So, and I plan on writing a lot more in that world.
Kiso, you're not playing around at fucking all, man. You're rocking and rolling. Between you and your son, man, you guys are definitely rock and roll. But by the way, I want to interview your son next, man.
Yeah.
I won't curse.
Well, here's the thing. Crystal tried to interview him, and we knew it was coming. And his mom sat him down and gave him like a practice interview, and he nailed it. Answered all the questions so good, and was like real, like just sitting good, and posture and then we had the actual interview, got him in front of the camera, and he just lost his dang mind. Like he does not, even when he's talking to family, like if they want to, like, his grandparents or somebody, or a friend wants to have a video chat or whatever, like when he gets on camera, he's camera shy or something. Like he just goes batshit. I don't know.
Well, I have my nephew on the camera too, so he can interview him. So that'll be fun, right?
Yeah. I still can't guarantee he'll. I mean,
Yeah.
one cool thing from the interview with Crystal is part of what he put in the Death Digger was these eyes. There was eyes in the shadows and eyes in the walls and stuff that he was like, I can't wait for people to read about the eyes. It's going to freak people out with the eyes. But he said that the reason he wanted to put that in, and he thinks that's so scary, is because there's a shoe rack in our hallway where the screws on the side of it in the dark look like eyes. And every time he looks down that hallway, he feels like he sees eyes looking at him. And he thinks it's really freaky. And when he was little, he used to have us cover up, like put stuff over the eyes. So he actually made me like take the computer and carry it down the hallway so he could show her the screws. So that was I was like, that was a pretty in-depth piece of interview right there. But then he got his Mike Myers knife and was trying to chop her on the computer. But
But tell him keep up the good work. I mean, it's amazing what he's doing.
Yeah. No, I've got a phone full of his ideas, and then it's just really finding the time to type them out, and it's not always easy because, as you can tell, I have a lot going on.
Yeah, a whole fucking lot to go on.
And I've been editing on the side too, just for I try to like promote and help people any way I can, because we're all in this shit together. So
Indie got to stick together, man. Indie got to stick together.
Amen.
Now, Keisto, where can everyone find you, my friend?
Everywhere. Mostly I hang out on Facebook and Instagram. I've been trying to get more involved with Threads because Threads is becoming pretty cool. I need to get more involved in TikTok. Currently, I'm on TikTok, but it's all just ridiculous videos that I made with my kid. So
I'm on TikTok too, but I barely even use it. I focus on mostly on Instagram and Facebook, like you said.
Yeah, Instagram. I'll tell you, as far as like reviews and things that have actually boosted my career, Instagram has been the best. There's so many bookstagrammers and they have huge followings, and I feel like when they're reviewing your book and then posting it and putting it in their stories, and then people are commenting on it, and then someone else picks it up and they review it, and like it just starts this train, and you can see it on your sales. So I'm really, really grateful that I hate that I got onto it so late. Last year was my first adventure with Instagram.
Yeah,
Everybody else was
me
already
too.
there.
Me too. I started a channel and someone said, "Hey, you gotta do Instagram." I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna do Instagram. Yeah, I kind of started too late. I feel like.
Yeah. I'm closing in on 1,000 followers.
I've been closer to that.
I've been waiting for that day, and it's funny because I get so many fake accounts, and like my numbers will like jump up, and then those people leave or get busted or whatever, and the
Yeah.
numbers just fall back down, and I'm like,
I have the same
no.
thing. I have the same thing with my YouTube channel. Like, I'll see my subscribers go up. Yeah, some of the people are fucking canceling because they don't like what I'm saying. But also, too, I feel like a lot of the people are like bots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been doing a lot on YouTube. I think I have like almost 40 stories now
Nice.
with Chilling Tales for Dark Nights like podcast, and I was I doing a lot with Paul McSorley. He had a show on there, and I was like doing a lot of stuff with him. I love working with him because when he reads my stuff, I feel like he reads it how I intend it to be read. Like we all, when we write it, like write it with our own, inflections and voice, and then other people read it, and you don't realize until they read it that like they take it completely differently. But he seems to like really get me. So when he reads my stuff, it's really exciting to me. And then I've done there's another show, Scary Stories Told in the Dark, I think it's called. And he's read a lot of my stuff too, and his stories are shorter. He only wants like 4,000 word stories, but then they'll do a day where they'll read 4 of them, like just give like an author spotlight, or they'll put 2 on YouTube and then have 2 more that's just for their patrons. And so then you've got some of your stories are exclusives, but I've done a lot of work with them over the past few years. So like I've got like, I really think it's got to be like 40 stories on YouTube now. So that's kind of cool.
You're rolling, man. Listen, everybody, get out there and check out, grab Armageddon, Fall of the Vampires, and also grab his son book, Death Digger, and follow him on social media so you can see all of his latest work.
Yeah, follow me on Amazon because there's constantly
Amazon too, yes. Amazon as well. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Crystal, Unveiling Nightmares. By the way, you guys always rock. I always like to give Unveiling Nightmares a shout out.
Yeah. Crystal is great. She's done so much to try to help the indie horror community, and she's done a lot for me, honestly, as a friend. She's awesome.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. Travis Bruce. See you guys next time. Take care.